Well, hello, everybody, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen to this wonderful interview that Jen and I have created for you, all about the art of goal setting. As you know, my name is Amy Bondar. I'm a nutritional therapist and certified eating psychology coach, and I really work with all of you to help inspire you to optimize your health through many different modalities. And today, I wanted to invite my friend and colleague, Jen Hadley, to have a conversation with us about goal setting, especially at this time of year when we're hearing so much about goal setting. At the start of a new year, we often, set new goals, and especially around our weight, our health, our wellness, we often set goals as well. And so I wanted to have Jen come on with her expertise and share some really realistic conversation with us about goal setting and how to do it the right way so that we can feel successful. So Jen, I'm going to turn it to you to introduce yourself, what you do, and how this topic has become so valuable and important to your teachings.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Amy. I'm so glad to be here. It wasn't long ago that you were on my channel. We were talking about all the things that you do, and I'm so glad to be here talking to your audience and sharing what I do, because what we do really goes hand in hand. I'll just start from the beginning. Like you said, my name is Jen Hadley, and I am the founder of Fierce Mom Personal Coaching. And what that means is that it's a holistic approach to bringing your life back to who you are. So we go through these things in life. We go through parenting. We go through jobs and work and career and relationships and all of these things that really affect who we become. And what I do is I like to bring you back to who you are inside of you by helping you with goal setting, with creating actual workable plans that you can build into your life so that you can take your life back. And talking, especially with what you're saying about goal setting, that's a huge one at the beginning of the year, end of the year. That's what we talk about is strategy sessions, first quarter, whatever it is in your business and your personal life. But we always come down to the nasty resolution, right? And and that's kind of it's a nice idea. It's a nice thought to say, okay, I'm starting fresh. I'm doing this all over again. I'm a repeat offender of those things as well. And it's really reframing it and saying to yourself, I'm not doing a resolution. I'm doing I'm making a change. And because resolutions tend to have, like fall off points, and I know that Amy, you and your clients, especially me being one of your clients, this very well with me, is that we get all excited and we get pumped up, and it's the beginning of the year, or it's Monday, or it's, day one of whatever. And then we get all pumped and we do it, and then it kind of falls off. And then 2 to 3 days, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then we're back to where we started again. Because we haven't addressed the issues of why we're not doing what we're doing. Right?
Yes. And I just wrote that article too, the New Year's Resolvolution. It's resolving about the things, why aren't we doing these things in the first place? But I think it was really interesting about the resolutions, Jen, because even when you think about setting your resolutions, it's like, you're just kind of putting a statement out there. It's like, okay, I'm going to lose weight, or I'm going to, get a new job, or I'm going to do whatever it is. But what's missing in the resolution, I think, is like the steps that you need to take to get it, right? So it's one thing to resolute and make a statement, but there's another thing to actually like make those things happen in a realistic way. Do you want to just touch base on that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. You totally hit the nail on the head. And it's the same in goal setting. We say, I want to lose weight. I want to climb Mount Everest. I want to get a new job. Okay, that's great. And it's nice that you're aware of what you want in your life. And that's the first step, is the whole visualization of what your life is going to look like and how you want it to look, and how you want it to feel and taste and smell and all of these things. But really, now what? I seem to say that all the time. It's like, okay, now what? You take the emotions out of it, you take the excitement out of it, and then you have something that you need to work towards. So setting the goal, making the resolution, whatever word you want to use for it, deciding, that's also a big word. People say that a lot. I've decided that I want to do this. Great, you've decided. Now what? Right? So now we have to create a plan around making that happen. And so where I come in is I help you with actually figuring out, not just I want to lose weight, it's I want to lose 35 pounds. And I want to lose 35 pounds. You could say that, but then it could take you a year. Is that what you wanted? Or would you want it in 6 months? Or do you want it, like some people, I've been wanting to lose 35 pounds for the last 3 years. I'm still wanting, you know? So why am I not doing it? Because I don't have a set plan. I don't have it written down. I don't have it ingrained in my everyday habits, which is what creates results, right? Like if you're, it's the same as if you're doing anything, any kind of project. And really, I like to look at life. It's a project. So do you have the right project management tools in place to create this project of life? You know, like when it's just like a scientific method also, you know, like when you're a kid and you're doing your science fair project, first you have to start with the question, and then you have to figure out sort of what your desired solution is. And then you do the steps to get there, and then you see what happens, right?
Right.
So that's kind of how that's how it works, and that's the only way it works. Like you can't just say I want to, you know, eat healthier food. Great, and you know,
What's that going to look like, and how is that
right.
going to look like? And I think the piece around the weight, we'll come back to that in a minute, because obviously for my clientele especially, we've had many people have goals around weight loss. But what is that difference then between, and you write this a little bit in the article that I will be sharing about the art of goal setting, but the goal versus the dream. So could the dream be like to lose 35 pounds, but that's like the ultimate dream of it. But is the goal to lose maybe 5 pounds every 4 to 6 weeks to get there? Is that what you mean by goal versus dream? What's the difference, Jen?
The difference is, and most of the time it's in the planning. Most of the time, the difference between a goal and a dream is the plan. Because I can, you know, everyone, I have a big vision board back here. I've got vision boards all over my office. I don't know if this is something that you do, but highly recommended. I'm actually going to be doing a workshop on that in the future because it's so important. But really, the goal is the plan. That the goal has to come with the plan. Otherwise, it's just a dream.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to be a Victoria's Secret model. Okay, great. But in order to do that, I have to set myself up to succeed. I have to be healthy. I have to eat properly. I have to take care of my skin. I have to know the right people. I have to, you know, like it's not just about your weight. Nothing is just about your weight, you know, and I know that you and I talk about this all the time about it's not about losing weight. It's about being healthy and letting your body be the weight it needs to be so that you can function in your life.
Right.
So if I want to build my website, for example, I had to set a goal, and I had the goal was I have to have my website done by this date with X amount of pages and this kind of content. So the first step in all of that was to build the wireframe, to build the content. What's it going to say on this page? What's it going to say on that page? Pick the images, create the images, set up the links. Like you can't, everything kind of comes one after the other. You can't just boom, have a website out of nowhere, you know? So it's the same with weight loss. It's the same with eating healthy. It's the same as feeling good. You know, if you don't go to bed at a certain time, then you wake up tired, it's because you didn't go to bed at a certain time. It seems so easy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not unless you plan it. And so creating that time, and even taking the time to block off that time and say, I'm going to plan my day tomorrow, makes such a huge difference. Because a lot of times if we don't have something in our calendar, we don't do it. If I didn't have this meeting with you, I'd be, who knows, doing something else, right? Or, you know, like,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I think with changing our health too, right? So writing these things down. So it's like planning the day, planning the week. And it's like, and it's not even the night before. It has to be projected. If your goal is truly to optimize your health, or if your goal is truly to lose weight, then the action steps needed to make that happen have to be written down, right? So it's like, when are the workouts going to be? When are you going to stop and take time to nourish yourself? When are you going to make time for the grocery shopping? When is the food prep going to come in? So those are like a few of the many details that have to be focused on and written down, so that there is that commitment and accountability to yourself to make the changes, right, to happen. So it's like it's almost like like meticulous that you have to do that. But you're right, if we don't truly plan to make those goals happen, then they never happen,
Then it's
right?
a dream, right? Then it's
Yeah.
a dream that one day maybe. So I've decided, I've taken this sort of like a twist on the word one day and turned it into day one,
Mm.
right? So instead of looking at it as one day I'm going to, have my dream house, or one day I'm going to weigh 150 pounds or whatever that works for your body, for your life, or whatever it is. Like I'll never be 150 pounds, and that's okay because that's not meant for me. But um, making it so that that becomes your priority, you need to plan for it. And in the planning, taking it, saying, I'm going to wait till Monday, that doesn't work. How many times have we said, I'm waiting till Monday? How many times have we waited till the new year to quit drinking, to quit smoking, to quit eating, chips or whatever it is? And then on the 3rd, or the 3rd of January, how many of you have already cheated? So I have. Like on the 1st, I already have, because it was on a Sunday or a Saturday instead of a Monday. So you know what I mean? Like it's a mental game we play with ourselves, where it's like, oh, I'll just allow myself this, but you don't realize the damage that you're doing while you're allowing yourself that.
Right.
There's
Do
a
you think
lot there.
there is? And I think that a lot of times when we're goal setting, number one, the word that comes into mind for me is realistic goals,
Yeah.
but also goals that are truly in alignment with who we are and what we truly want in our lives. So sometimes we do things because we think we should, like, I should lose weight, so I'm going to make that my goal. But if you're not truly inspired to do that, then it's not going to happen. So, how important is your why behind each goal that you set? Can you talk about that, Jen?
Yeah, absolutely. The why is huge. And I used to laugh at this when everyone would say, oh, what's your why? Like to me, it used to be such a fluffy kind of concept. But really, when you dig deep down into it, it matches your values, it matches your purpose in life. So if my purpose in life is to be a fitness instructor and show people that they can, be healthy and fit and love the workouts and that sort of thing, if I'm not living that life myself, there's, first of all, zero credibility, and I'm never going to do that. Like I took 2 different fitness instructor courses. I never did anything with it because it's not something that I am made for. It's not for me. It's cool to do it. It's nice to learn, whatever, but I never made anything out of it because it wasn't like you talk about values a lot. It wasn't something that was aligned or within my values. Anything about parenting, that's right up my alley. Anything about entrepreneur life, right up my alley.
So when you're making a goal for, let's say, weight loss or improving your health or your nutrition, the key then would be to link it to those highest values. So if your kids, if your family, if your entrepreneurship, your business, if those things are like the most important things, and every day your life is dedicated to those things, then the key, and for all of our listeners, is so important to link the weight loss, if that's what you're wanting to achieve, to your business, to your kids. So how will doing it, how will taking these action steps every day help support the fulfillment of my other values? How will this weight loss support my kids, my relationship with them, my activity with them, my energy, my patience, my what I'm teaching them about good eating, my messaging, and how is it going to do all the same things to my business? So without that, why are we doing it? Then the goals just become,
it's just a thing to do. It's
it's
just
a thing to do.
it's just another thing to check off on your list. I mean, we all get so busy with being busy. Like we're addicted to having full schedules and talking about, like when I say, hey, how are you? Most people say, oh, we're so busy. Well, that's not like a claim to fame anymore. It used to be cool to be busy back in the day, but now everybody's slowed way down. We've had to, and I think that's the universe, like totally just saying, hey guys, like just calm down and stop for a minute and realize and like come back to who you really are. And
Yeah.
that's the pandemic has done that for me personally in my career and my parenting and everything that I'm doing. Yes, weight loss is important to me, but not because I care anymore about how I look. You know, it matters to me because I want to have the energy to be able to do these interviews. I want to have the energy to, you know, create stuff out of nowhere, and keep building and keep going and that sort of thing. And if I'm not eating properly, if I'm not sleeping well, if I'm not doing all the things that have become habits now out of my goal setting, because those things that you set your goals to, if it really matters to you, those little things will become habits. And habits are really important. Those are the things that keep you motivated, because
Mm-hmm.
motivation alone, it doesn't do anything. Motivation
Exactly.
is, you know, like motivation is those trainers that yell at you for 5 minutes and like, hey, pick it up, do it again, you know.
Well, we're motivated to do the things we're inspired to do. We don't need outside support to motivate us to do what we're most inspired to, or to do the things that we value the most in our lives typically.
Right.
I love what you said though about like the day one, like it's sort of the step every day you're taking steps towards reaching your goals. I know for me, sometimes I'll set a goal, that well, I'll give you a very personal. We were talking about real life food issues last time in our interview. Let's talk about real life goal setting. So here's for me, Jen. Like, so I've had a goal since 2017 to make a certain amount of money every month. And so I kind of created this number in my mind, and that's been my goal. And so certainly every day, because my business is a high value to me, I'm working towards achieving that. But what do you do when you're not achieving that number that you set out, whether that be financially for me, or maybe it's a weight number for somebody else? But what do you say about that? Was that just a goal that was more of a dream and not a realistic goal? Like, how can you speak to that?
Really, all of those things, any kind of goal that you set that has a number, first of all, it has to be realistic, right? Like you were saying, it has to be realistic. A lot of us work on the sort of premise of SMART goals, that they're specific, that they're measurable, they're attainable, realistic, and timely. So for you to say, I want to make X amount of money per month, it'll take you some time to get to that point, right? So let's say by a certain date, this is going to be the amount of money that I'm going to make every month. And then that's all great and wonderful. But until you set it up so that it makes it that way, until you make a plan to say, I'm going to make this amount of money and this is how I'm going to do it. That's the part that people skip out. They forget that there's like an actual game plan that you have to create around it, right? Like, I want to lose 35 pounds by April. Is that going to happen? Probably not. But is it possible? Maybe. It depends on the plan. If I stop drinking sugary sodas, for sure that'll help. Is it going to make me get there? If I'm still eating burgers and fries, maybe not, you know? So it really depends on what you're doing step by step and every day, turning them into habits to create that. So for you, if you want to make a certain amount of money, what are you doing in your business every single day that's going to create that for you? Are you talking to a certain amount, like 10 people a day, 10 new potential clients a day? Are you reaching out to people that you've never met before? Are you asking for referrals? Are you posting on social media regularly? Like, what avenues are you doing? And those things have to be put in place in order for that to happen.
Right.
If you don't write it down, and if you don't make a checklist or make it part of your day, everybody calls it time blocking. I call it time blocking too, or setting aside that time, making an appointment with yourself to get those things done. They're not going to happen. And then that's why we're not getting there. Same as
Mm-hmm.
with nutrition. If I don't stock my fridge with vegetables and fruit and supplements and things like that are going to help my body, I'm not going to get there, because there's burgers and bread and whatever else is in a pizza, that kind of thing. If I don't actively participate in making that goal uh, achievable, then it's not going to happen.
I love that. Actively participate in making that goal happen.
Yeah.
It's so true. And even though some of those questions that you asked me, it's like, no, I'm not doing that. And I'm not doing that. And when those numbers that I should be hitting every day are not going to help me to match, that number. So is the number that I chose maybe a few years ago, that was just an arbitrary number. But if I actually go back to it, maybe if I lessen that number, it made it more realistic, so that I'm not feeling I'm not achieving the goal or succeeding at the goal. That would be very helpful. And I think the same is true for weight loss. So many people just throw out a number or have a fantasy that maybe their weight will go back to where it was before they were married or in their 20s or before they had kids. And those are often outrageous goals. Sometimes they're achievable, maybe they are, right? We never want to squash somebody's goal, but they have to be so realistic and not just an arbitrary number. But I really think that's so important, is chunking it down so much to what will it actually take to achieve that.
Yeah.
And if you can't realistically chunk it down to do all the things that are required to achieve it, then you have to set up a more realistic
Yeah.
goal, right?
But even so, like, because you always want to give yourself a stretch, right? Like, you don't want to just say, oh, I want to drink 4 glasses of water today. That's totally doable, you know? But maybe you need to stretch it and say, I want to drink 6 glasses of water today, so that it's a little bit harder, because if it's too easy, you're not going to do it either, right?
Right.
There's no incentive. And also, you have to reward yourself with it. There has to be a reward at the end, because if there's no incentive, why do we work? We work for money. You know, that's at the end of the day, that's why we work. Otherwise, we'd all be volunteering and very happy people. You know?
Yeah.
There's a reason for doing everything. Like, we invest so much in our kids because there's a reward at the end, because then they become these people that we, that they're meant to be. Everything that we do all comes down to the why, right? But also, in breaking down this number, let's say, and a lot of people just throw out, I want to make $10,000 a month. That's like the, I guess, industry standard of what everybody wants to do. We would need to make 6 figures by the end of the year. Okay. So if you want to make $10,000 a month, how many of whatever program that you have do you need to sell? And if you need to sell, let's say 7 of them to make $10,000 a month, then how many people do you need to talk to in order to get there? So you have to go backwards.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to make $300,000 a year, awesome. That's a great goal to have. But what do I need to make every month? And then in that month, how many sales do I need to make of a specific thing? Like, if you're selling a $20 program, you're going to need to talk to a lot of people, and that's also okay. That's also a good start. But then it's the scaling piece. It's, I need to talk to 20 people to sell this particular product. And from those 20 people, 3 people need to buy this bigger product at this amount, and then that's your goal, and those become your stepping stones. So it becomes an even smaller goal. And then once you realize, okay, I need to get these 3 people to sign on for this program, then it's like, what do I need to do to get those 3 people?
Right.
So it's constantly narrowing it down, and being, active participation is a huge thing for me. If you're not actively participating in making your life better, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
In any part of your life, relationships, parenting, any of it. I could let my kids play on their iPhones and on their, screens all day long. Is that good for them? Maybe. You and I have had this conversation, because I have the mommy guilt about I'm working so much and I'm just letting them on their screens. But, depending on what they're doing on it, if they're doing something creative, or if they're doing work, or even if they're socializing with their friends, there's positives to that, right? But am I actively participating as a parent? No. Am I cooking with them? Am I talking to them? Am I engaging with them? No. So my influence isn't there, but the influence of whatever they're doing is there, right? So it's the same with everything. It's the same with anything that you're doing, financial, career. If I'm unhappy in my work, what am I doing actively to make it better? Am I, and that doesn't necessarily mean quitting your job. That could mean, can I work harder? Can I focus on something that's more exciting? Can I maybe switch departments? Like, what can I do where I have some influence, where I can say, this is something that I want. This is a goal that I want. I want to hit the President's Club next year. What are the things that I need to do? And you can look at other people as examples. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. Mm-hmm. There are so many people that have lost 100 pounds. How did they do that?
Right.
Of course, it's not going to be the same for everybody. We're all different. We all have different bodies and compositions and hormones and all these things that work into that. But the idea is the same. If you don't have a plan, and if you don't write it down, and you don't actively do it every single day, you're not going to get there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's true. I love what you said too about celebrating your successes. I think it's important that we acknowledge our successes every day. There was a time where I was writing in a success and gratitude journal every night, and I did it for literally 365 days. I did it every single day. And now that I say that, it would be very valuable to go back to doing that. But it was every day is like, what did I do today that helped me towards my goals or achieve my goals, right? And it was acknowledging the little steps that I was taking every day. And to me, that was celebrating my successes. So I didn't need to go out and like have a dessert or anything or treat myself or reward myself, but it was the acknowledgement and the gratitudes for what I was experiencing in the day that for me was very helpful in continuing to keep going. Because I think the more I acknowledge my successes, the more I realize that I was on path. Where I think for us as a society, we are so focused on acknowledging our misses. What didn't we do? How did we not succeed? Where did I miss my numbers? Where did I not reach the goal weight that I was wanting to get today? And then those misses in our minds allow us to kind of just say, well, kind of screw this then. I'm not even on path. I might as well just stop. Right. And so I think there's a really big piece there about the importance of acknowledging the little steps every day. Like you said, it could just be acknowledging the amount of water you drank today, if it's about food, or that you did go for a walk, or that you did get on the bike, or whatever you were doing for your workouts. But as opposed to, but I didn't eat this and I didn't do that or whatnot.
Yeah, and you talk about that too when you talk about even just enjoying the foods that you're eating, right? Like if you take it in a negative perspective, if you're saying I'm eating this and I shouldn't be eating this, it does mental thing. It has a chemical sort of change in your brain where you're taking it in negatively, right? So it's the same with the way that you talk to yourself. Self-talk is so important, and we talk about being kind to yourself and forgiving and all of those things. Yes, and I've always been one of those people that says, okay, fine, you can talk to yourself nicely all you want, but if you're still doing all these negative things, it's not going to help you. but then you explained to me about when you're having like a cheat meal or whatever it is that you're, that if you're fueling yourself with something that doesn't align with what your goals are or where you want to be, then you just have to accept that and enjoy it as well. Even the losses are, you can enjoy the losses. I mean, look at 2020. The whole year was a disaster, but there's so many people that have come out of this with like amazing stories of achievement, of growth, of relationship success, of like parenting. There have been so many lessons that we've learned, even though on a whole 2020 sucked.
Yeah, there's always hidden blessings, right, with any challenge. And in fact, you wrote about that in the article that I'm sharing on the art of goal setting, about goals come with challenges. So it's like not always a smooth ride. So maybe talk about that too, because again, I think as a society, we want the quick fix. We expect that if we have a goal, everything's going to go smoothly to get that. But the truth is that's not the reality. So you can talk a little bit about the ride on the path to the goal.
Oh, definitely. Goals, if you expect nothing to happen on the way, you're completely delirious.
Yeah. Reality check.
Let's have a reality check for just 1 second. Anytime you set to do anything that is different than what you're already doing, there will be a challenge. And it's because there's something new, there's a change, there's like a shift in what you're doing, whether it's in your mindset or just even in your daily habits. If you are trying to do something to make your life different, you are going to experience something different. And if you don't experience something different, you're not reaching hard enough. It's not, like I said, if it's too easy, it's not worth it.
Right.
Right. So if it's something that's worth a change, if it's something that matters to you, then expect obstacles. And those obstacles are really, they're like an opportunity. It's not a block for you. It's an opportunity. It's your learning curve. It's your chance to fight through who you think you are or who you think you're supposed to be, and instead of actually just like embracing the lesson. So, I was let go from a job that I loved more than anything in an industry that I completely like. It was me. I was an event planner. That was my life. That's who I was. Everybody knew me as that. And then COVID turned that around and shut down all the events. And so now what? Yes, I was crushed about it. But honestly, that lesson and that obstacle brought me towards a place where now I was just like, the doors have opened, and instead of sitting there, I could still be sitting in that sadness and in that wallowing of, oh my gosh, I lost this job and I loved it in the industry and it's so negative and like it's never going to open again, and are we ever going to go outside, and those constant negative thoughts, into, okay, this is who I really am, this is what I really need to do. I've totally done a self-reflection, and I've come out of it in a different way because of the way that we consider them.
Absolutely.
So obstacles need to be part of the goal. But the thing that we need to do is we need to create one of the steps in this like 4 easy steps of goal setting is creating a coping plan. It's to say, okay, I'm starting to do this. Let's say weight loss, for example, or I want to eat healthier so that to manage my hormones. Because I know you don't like talking about diets and weight loss. So let's talk about I want to manage my hormones. Okay. I know that twice a month I'm going to have a hormonal issue. I know I'm going to have some sort of fluctuation, whether it's ovulating or PMS or whatever it is. So I know that that's coming. Is that an obstacle I'm going to have to face? Absolutely. Is there something I can do about it? For sure. And what am I going to do about it? So I take it like as an if-then statement. If I have a spike in hormones, then this is what I'm going to do to cope with it. Instead of going for the chocolate, instead of going for the rage cry, like lose my mind on my kids, instead of, the other things that I have always done that don't work towards my goal, what is my coping plan for when this happens? Because I know it's going to happen. I know something is going to throw me off. I know there's going to be a party or a social event. What happens when I am in front of an entire plate of cheese? And that happens to us. So knowing that I'm going into this event and there's going to be all this food there that I probably shouldn't eat because it's not part of my goal for my weight and my health, what am I going to do about it? Mm-hmm. And you help a lot with that because you talk about bringing it back to the why and to feeling it and to allowing yourself to just stop for a second and say, okay, this is the situation. How am I sort of experiencing it? So that works a lot with the way that you've taught me a lot of the times is how to, when you get to that point, how do you handle it in that moment?
Yes.
Just rushing off and doing the thing that you've always done that's never gotten you anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's just always about asking those quality questions, right? It's like, so in this challenge, how is this serving me? What am I meant to learn? How is this challenge helping me to grow? How is it helping me push towards my goals, my authentic expression of who I am? Whatever the question is, but it's always about asking those questions, right? And I love what you said too, is that if that's going to happen, this then is going to be what I'm going to do. So you're setting yourself up for success, so to speak, knowing that these obstacles are going to show up. It's part of life, right? But it's doing that instead of just throwing in the towel and saying, well, now I failed, or now I'm not achieving, or now I'm not accomplishing. So no, I think that's really valuable.
And you can't always know, you're never always going to know what the obstacles are going to be. You can't plan exactly for it. But then when something does come up and you've already kind of known about something sort of like that coming up, then that's a trigger for you saying, okay, I know this, I know about this already. I've already planned for this, even if it's not, and it's never going to be to the full extent of what the situation is, because you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
You never know tomorrow they could shut us all down again, or tomorrow they can open again. So that's every day is going to be a different challenge. But if you know that there's a possibility that we're going to go in lockdown, what is your plan?
Yeah.
Are you going to work out at home? Are you going to go for walks outside? Are you going to go to the skating rink? Because you can't go to the gym. That's not happening, right? So are you going to order your groceries? Or are you going to stand in line? Things are happening and they're going to happen. You just don't know what level. So
but it's almost like, well, what can I continue to do to help me continue to achieve my goals, right? And I think the big word out there this year is pivot, right? It's like, how am I going to pivot to help me to achieve what I'm still wanting to achieve in my life, right? Or as part of this goal. So that's really great. So Jen, can we talk a little bit more about the importance of scheduling and writing it down? I know that you created a beautiful calendar or daytimer and planner. Will you give that a little show of that and tell us the importance of writing down our goals, and our action plans and steps?
First of all, writing things down takes it out of your head and puts it out there. That's the number one thing. Writing it down. Some people like to do it digitally. I'm a paper and pen kind of girl. There's a lot of science behind actually taking it and physically writing it, because it takes it makes it part of your body, and it takes it out of your body and puts it onto paper, and it's something that you've created. So there's a lot of benefit to that. And what I did, and this is
Sorry,
something.
Jen, I just want to jump in for 1 second. I just want to hit on that
Yeah.
so much because it's so important. And I often say it to you, I've even said it to you, pen to paper, just start writing.
Yeah.
But it is true, like so many of our thoughts, and especially around goal setting, right? It's all in our mind and our thoughts, and we repeat the same thoughts over and over and over again. Whatever you're thinking about today, you're often thinking about tomorrow, and we have thousands and thousands of thoughts a day. So if we don't earth them and ground them, then those fleeting thoughts, those goals, the action steps, all of it, because it can be really overwhelming to sort of chunk down and break down a goal, right? So if it's just whirling in your head, it's not going anywhere but into some anxiety and insomnia, right? And so earthing it on paper is such a valuable thing to do. And physically writing, I know a lot of people type and whatnot and put things in their phones, but really the act of writing is so powerful.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely, and that's totally true. So years ago, I think probably 6 years ago, I said in my head and out loud that I wanted to create a planner because I think I've bought every planner out on the market, and there's something that I haven't found that hasn't worked for me, and what I've always found was, first of all, the dated ones are not my favorite because it's like that, it's like the taking the one day to day one. That's where that fits in, where it's, you can do it starting today. You don't have to wait till Monday. You don't have to wait till January 1st. Because if, let's say for now, what is it today? The 7th? What's today? The 11th?
The 12th. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, the week's totally gone by. But if it's the 12th now, if you haven't started your planner, are you going to wait until next year?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's ridiculous, right? Start today. Fine, you missed 11 days. Who cares? Calendar days mean nothing other than you're a day older. They mean nothing else in the context of our life. So other than you're having to write the new date, nothing has changed. People just get so weird about that, and the conscientiousness around it is so silly. It's like, I have to wait till Monday. I have to wait till 2021. Okay, fine. Well, now it's 2021. You haven't started.
Yeah. I still have to go get my calendar. Right?
I still have to, well, you'll get one anyway, but. So what I did was, until I finally decided as part of my goal, and I set this goal to actually make it happen. And the goal was to have a planner out for Christmas. I set this goal in November, and that's like a crazy goal. My coach was like, "What's wrong with you? This is never good." Like, he's like, "Okay, good for you." I totally knew he didn't believe that I was going to do this, but that was my goal and I was going to do it, and I didn't care what happened. So every day I set aside time and I blocked in the time, and this was my planning time and planner planning. And I drew it out and I did all the things. I contacted the person that produced it for me, and I got the printing all aligned and all of these things, and it was all part of the day. And if it wasn't in my day, there's no way it would be done. So that's just in itself its own example of how, if you set a goal and you want it done, you're going to do it, because it mattered to me.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask you, right? Because I think this is really helpful for our listeners, is why did that agenda that you created, why did it matter so much? Like, what was that made, like, hell and high water, you're getting it done?
Yeah. Well, there was the Christmas end of the year, because people usually get their planners in the new year or before the new year. So I was on a time crunch for sure. And that wasn't out of my control, but what I could control was how much I worked in order to get there. And then also, it's part of my coaching system. I use it in part of my coaching system. So I can't say to a client, I have this awesome program and this great 90-day, I call it 90-day fierce focus plan. I can't offer that without having something substantial as a tool to use. Right. So there was like two things that were like eating at me that I was like, I have to get this done or else.
Yeah.
Because if I wait until February, most people already have their planners by then, Yeah. And then maybe, but it's quarterly. So maybe some people who are doing quarterly will come in March. But I needed to start the year because of the timing, because of the nature of what it was. If it was just another book, not a big deal, but it's one of those things that it had to be timed to that.
Yeah. So
I went in and I did it, and I was so amazed with myself. Can we just take a minute to give me some credit here? I was so impressed with myself because I had been thinking about this for 6 years and nothing came of it until it became important. And that's the same that it's going to be with your health and your weight. That's going to be the same it's going to be with your career. Until it becomes really important to you, you're not going to do it.
And again, until it becomes, it's linked to your highest values, right? Or in your top 3 highest values. So your work and your, what you're doing to help others is like so soulfully important to you that it's not an option, right? Like it just, that's just it. So, and also I want to say, yes, we are going to acknowledge your success of it, Jen, but not from a place of ego, right? It's not about like, oh, I'm so wonderful, I finished all of this, and like you're boasting your ego. It's just really like an acknowledgement of, wow, like I've accomplished one of my substantial goals that are here to serve others, right? Like
it's
that's huge.
totally not ego based.
Yeah.
It's a sitting back and looking at all the things that I've done in the last 90 days because I made them a priority. And holy crap, if you actually look at the amount of amazing things that you can do and that you have done, same with you, Amy, with your stuff, like you really ramped it up and it's obvious. So if you look back, that's where the reward is. This is me, my saying, yes, I did it is my reward. And actually having it in my hand is like, it's so amazing.
It is.
So I'm going to talk about it because I'm really proud of it. This is my cover that I created. Dream it, believe it, build it. Really, these are the 3 main things. If you think it up, that's the first step is deciding what you want. Believing in it is actually understanding that this is possible. That's the quantifying it and making it realistic and attainable. That's the believing in it part. And then the build it is the action plan. It's the actively working on it. So this is a quarterly planner. It's got almost 300 pages of like stuff that you really, it's so great. I'm really impressed with it and I'm really happy with it. Just a front page kind of bio, what I do, who I am. And then it goes into your year at a glance. You've got your whole entire year right there that you can look at. You can put in your important dates, if you're doing events, work events. You and I did a session on this, Amy, where we look at the year and we see what's there and where we have space to plug in other things. Because if we can't see it as a whole, we don't necessarily know where there's room to put new things in.
Yeah.
And putting new things in is what's going to get you up there. Call 10 new people. It's going to be something that ups your goals at the end. So this is just your daily, like you're at a glance based on the days. And then we have all of the guts of it. This is the why. This is your legacy. This is about your business, your purpose statement. Who are you? Why are you doing these things? And then I talk about the Fierce Mom fundamentals, which is a lot of times we've heard of like the life wheel or a wellness wheel or something like that, where we look at the different areas of our lives. Some people put it into 12 categories, some have 8, some have, whatever. But I've narrowed it down to 6 that are the Fierce Mom fundamentals, which are finance, well-being, career, relationships, parenting, and the good life. And the good life is like all the stuff all the guilty pleasures that we really have to stop feeling guilty for, like rewarding ourselves for the hard work that we do. So when you hit that $10,000 a month or whatever that goal is for you, I want you to buy yourself a shirt. I want you to go to the store and buy yourself that bag or, whatever. And we've had these conversations that we feel bad doing these things because this money could be spent elsewhere. But take one opportunity to, and then every time you wear that shirt or every time you have that bag, you're going to feel so good because you earned it, right?
Yes.
So that's the good life. Book the trip, have the ice cream, whatever it happens to be, just make it a one-time reward, but make sure that it's tied to the goal that you've done, that you've achieved. So from here, then we take it all and we narrow it down into your top 3 goals in those 6 areas. And then we go even deeper because once you go deep, you got to go deeper. And it's the top 3 things you're going to work on the next 3 months. Like this is in 90 days, these things are my big milestones. I'm going to achieve this amount of money. I'm going to have this many followers. I'm going to, weigh a certain amount or eat a certain whatever, like keep on a certain plan. And then the actionable steps that break it down even further. What am I going to do towards that? And then we talk about the obstacle plan. This is the important piece. This is the planning for the if this happens, then what? Things you can control, things you can't control. You cannot control what COVID's doing. You cannot control the weather. You cannot control, on election day, you can sort of, have your say in who's elected. But at the end of the day, that's not anything you can control and focus on. So those things have to be thrown completely out of our minds because there's nothing that we can do about them. So why stress about it?
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then we come up with the categories of taking those obstacles and figuring out what to do next. And then we go through 3 months of like, oh no, there's more. You're wise, and then you make a commitment to yourself. It's like a contract with yourself. I am going to accomplish these things within 90 days. You put the date. These are the things I'm going to achieve. In order to achieve them, I'm going to do these things, and this is the reward at the end. And then you sign
Yeah,
it and you date it.
it's so thorough. You know, my mentor, Dr. DeMartini, he's got like a 5-day master planning of your life, right?
Yeah.
And it's like he says, like one of the wisest things that people can do is plan their life. And so this planner that you've created is like it's so valuable. But I think what you're really trying to share here, Jen, is just such like the importance of just writing it all down, but going deep and deeper and deeper and deeper. Because I do think we just make these goals and then just sort of like put it out to the universe and, you know, expect that that's just going to come up and show up for us without doing the freaking hard work to get it done, right?
That's why
And without quitting on yourself if it's not going so smoothly the whole time, or like, you know, if again, if it's a weight loss goal or changing your diet, the expectation that you're going to eat perfectly every single day, well, you got to throw these like perfectionistic opportunities out of your head because they don't exist in wellness, in financial, in work, in life in general, right? But by having a plan, at least you know every day you're working a little bit towards it.
Yeah. And that's the thing, is everything that happens in your planner has to happen. I'll show you an example on the daily. So I've got like 3 months worth of like full calendars. And then we do the week in review. So we always start our week. I always start my week, and it's so effective by reviewing what happened last week. What were the wins? What was your favorite moment? What kept you motivated? What did you learn? And it's really, those are the things that matter, because those are the things you're going to learn from towards your next week. You know, what are you bringing into next week? And what habits can you practice to help you? Then there's a wellness tracker. Some people are into, you know, figuring out their meal plans and that sort of thing. Weight measurements, non-scale wins, those are so important. More important than
Yes.
the number on the scale.
Right, how are you feeling? How, you know, what are the little things that you're noticing within your own health or your body that you know that are moving you towards,
Yeah,
you know, maybe a weight loss goal, or more importantly a health goal, right? It's just those
exactly.
little, yeah.
So this is what I really want to focus on, is the
Okay.
day. You get a 2 full day, like it's full 2 days. And I'm just going to make it easier to see. So what we do here is we take our 3 must-dos for today. And these 3 must-dos have to be something that go towards your goal. It's not going to be pay my Visa bill. It's not going to be register the kids for sports. It's going to be talk to 10 people. It's going to be write a blog post and post it. It's going to be shop for my healthy meals today, or whatever, shop for my healthy ingredients. Whatever those 3 goals are, those 3 things you have to do today, those go here. And then we break it down. What are the actionable steps that you need to do in order to get these goals done? I need to go to the grocery. I need to make a list. I need to go to the grocery store. I need to plan my I need to write the actual blog post. I need to make the contacts. And then you take that and you go even deeper and you build it into your day. This is where time blocking, this is the magic right here. It's taking all of these things that relate to those and putting them into actual appointments with yourself.
Yeah.
At noon, I am going to go to the grocery store, and nothing is going to stop me from doing that, because if I don't do that, and if it doesn't happen today, then that's one more day that I'm far away from my goal.
Yeah. And that's brilliant, Jen. Like just that real documenting it in a schedule, because what happens is that if it's not in there, then other things come in and take over your day. So then you're not in charge of your day anymore. And then you're often doing things that you feel you have to, or you should do for others, or you need to be doing, without really just focusing on what your mission and goals are to achieve, right? But so often, again, it's just up in our heads. We're like, oh, I need to do this today. I should do this. Oh, but then I've just got to check my 10 emails. Oh, and then I'm going to play around on social media. Oh, and then I got to do this for my kids or my husband. And it's like, and then it's done, and you haven't done what you're most meaningfully important, or what's most meaningful for you to do in that day. And why, again, and we can just link this back to nutrition and health and eating and all of that. When we don't do what we set out to do in a day, when we don't do what we love to do and what we're trying to achieve in our day for our goals, then what happens is that by the end of the day, we're fatigued, we're drained, we're often resentful,
Yep.
And we often then will emotionally eat because we're not fulfilled or not feeling like we've accomplished what we truly set out to do. And I think
Exactly.
that's so important, especially I know your clientele is fierce mothers, right? It's moms, women that often do for everybody else without doing for themselves first. But if those action steps and goals and plans are not put on paper, then so often they don't happen and we end up feeling unfulfilled. So I just think that what you've created there is just so important. And yeah, it's work, but the truth is success comes when we work at what we would most love to be doing in our lives every
Right.
day.
And if we fill this in the night before, we sleep better at night. If like I
Yes.
noticed that as soon as I started using this again, because I went for a little bit of a hiatus myself. Everybody does,
Yeah.
especially in around the holidays. Nobody knows what day it is, and they're all full of sugar. Um, you have to get back into the rhythm, right? So as soon as I started filling this out again, I slept better because I could shut my brain off and I knew that I'd wake up and I'd be there in the morning and I would know exactly how my day was going to look. And because it's from 5 a.m. till 10 p.m., you schedule in your fun time with your kids. You schedule in your walk with the dog. You schedule in all those things because that's also really important. This isn't just about work. This isn't about I'm going to make 10 phone calls. This is, yeah, I'm going to make 10 phone calls and I'm also going to cook
Yeah.
dinner with my family. You know, from 5 a.m. to 10 p.m., that's a long day.
Yeah.
You know?
I
So,
love that.
yeah.
And one other thing too, I think is important to mention as well. So let's say you have a goal, right? And among the many that you might have, and it keeps going into the calendar, but it doesn't get accomplished.
Mhm.
Is that an important time to reflect and say maybe this goal is not that important to me right now or doesn't have the same value as maybe the other ones, and just to let that go, and not to say it can't come back in later on, but it doesn't need to be there always as sort of like the anchoring you down because you're not achieving it. Does it just mean that it's not necessarily meant to be there, or it's not in alignment enough, I guess, with you yet?
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that because that was something that I wanted to touch on too. If you're finding you're procrastinating on certain things, it means that they just don't matter to you right now. And it's not that it's something, like I had this really great idea that I wanted to do a book club and it was this whole thing and I was going to start the year with it. And by now I should have had like it all set out for the end of the year. It wasn't something that mattered enough to me at the time because doing the planner mattered first. Doing
Right.
the website mattered first. So it's still something in the idea, and that's where you can use the last few pages. And here I've got like, it's called dreams, plans, and brilliant ideas, and then it's in brackets for later.
I love that.
And that's okay. And you've got your pages to do that, and it's like just a brain dump of things that you want to do eventually. There maybe right now it's not. Maybe you've got too much going on right now. And usually in the new year, there's a ton of new starts, restart, back to work, back to school, all this stuff. And it's a crazy time. So why overwhelm yourself with something that doesn't really drive you?
Yeah, I just heard of this. I heard, and it's something I needed to hear. But not everything can be in bloom all year, right? And it's like, because sometimes I was getting hard on myself, especially at the beginning of the year, because I wasn't feeling like I was in my full manifestation creative mode. And it's like, that's okay. Like,
Yeah,
just be okay with that and just know, but it doesn't mean I'm not still planning and goal setting and doing other things, but it was almost just releasing that pressure,
yeah.
which was very immensely helpful to do.
And a great way to do that is to shut off social media and to stop comparing
Yes.
yourself to other people. And everybody right now is in like go, go, go mode. And we can't all be in go, go, go mode.
No.
You have to stop and just chill out. Like the universe broke my leg at the end of the year. That was my like, stop now, stop everything, quit everything you're doing. And I was like, but and this is like, right, I had sold my first planner and I was so excited and like life was good, and literally the next morning I broke my ankle in 3 places and I've been out since. Right? It's if you're not going to do it for you, somebody's going to do it for you.
Yeah.
And not in the best way, but like, so now it took me a really long time also to get back into the swing of things. Thankfully it was over the holidays and there's no expectation of people working too hard or at all,
Yeah.
um
But you also had to go back to your why, right? So
yeah.
yes, there was a huge obstacle, a huge challenge. and those are going to happen along the way of the journey. But it's like, but going back to, well, but why did I set out to do this in the first place? What is this all about? And sort of going back to the why re-inspires us to get back on our path, which I think is so important. So listen, Jen, I'm super excited about your planner, to the point where I would love to have one. So how can we get one? And also, sometimes goal setting can feel overwhelming. So if people need support, and some personal coaching, how can they best reach you, so that you can support them on their journey?
Absolutely. Well, I have this planner. It's on my website, fiercemom.ca, in the shop. You can get it there. I also have a limited edition artist cover. It's the exact same book, but I've got an artist, a local artist here, Juliana NCU, and she created the cover for this. This is one of her very famous art pieces that she's created a line where she took her art and put it into wearable art. So now it's like in bow ties and face masks and socks and pocket squares. And I saw that and I thought it would be really cool to partner with her and make an artist cover. So this one's actually been selling a ton. It's a little more expensive, but the proceeds all go to local artists, to supporting local artists, which I think is so important. So everything's on my website, fiercemom.ca. I do also offer a 90-day coaching package that comes with this book. And basically we go through it. We go through the beginning, through the nitty gritty of all the deep stuff, all the whys, all the legacy stuff, everything that we talked about. And then we go into planning. So every week we talk about planning your life and making those 3 top things something that matters towards those 3 goals that we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
So, and then, and people like you and I were like, oh, and then let's do this idea. Okay, great. But do they fit into those 3 things? Yes or no? And if they don't, then we move them to the next quarter, or maybe the next quarter, like it's all about planning out all of the things that you want to do to make sure that it's viable for you and not overwhelming. And I also offer like one-on-one coaching, I offer team coaching, like everything's on my website under the resources page. You'll find it all there. And I'm super happy to have a conversation. A consultation is free with me for the first time. And also when you buy this book, I send you a video after of how to use it. Like we go through every page and I say this, this is how to use it, because it can be kind of overwhelming if you don't know this world and if you're not in my head. So I teach you how to use it. And of course, anytime questions, comments, anything, I'm always happy to have a conversation. So and Amy, anyone of your people that want to take part, I've offered a 10% discount. And it's
Great.
the code is Amy Bondar. So 10% off anything in the store. There's another little mini sort of health and wellness tracker as well that I've created on top of that, because
Oh, great.
Nothing else to do.
Well, thanks, Jen.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome. It was very helpful, very realistic in terms of goal setting. And listen, if we're not planning our own lives, somebody else is going to come in and plan it for us. So we might as well get busy, get real, get authentic, pen to paper, and start really, really getting clear on what we'd love to do and how we can best go about succeeding at that. But I thank you so much for all of your wisdom, your insight, and
Really?
I look forward to our next collaboration, Jen. This has been fun. And fiercemom.ca. Please reach out to Jen for all of your goal setting needs.
Thank you so much, Amy. Yeah, absolutely. It's time to press the play button on our lives. So let's do it together.
Awesome. Love it. Thanks, Jen.